Okay, so just thought I'd make a video. Didn't really matter. Just putting the darks in where they need to go on the Eagles today. So I'll probably end up getting this whole thing done today, but I probably won't film the whole thing. But I'll definitely make a small, tiny video on when it is finished. So we'll just do that. Yeah, so I'll just zoom it in. And fix the camera. Just see, so you can already see the dark areas on the Eagles. So I'm making this my light source, and so the shadows would be behind, not so much down here. So I'm using all this mid-tone color for separation of the darks and where the highlights will go eventually. So, and all I'm using is raw umber for dark. So that was backwards, but whatever, you know. That's what happens when you use a cell phone for a camera. Everything is flipped. It's just reversed. So the light is here, and it as it spreads out. So you'll have darks here. Now this is a very, very light coat of this. This should dry in a few hours, even though it's oil paint, but it's very, very light, and brown seems to dry very quickly. Don't know why, it just works that way. It's a really dry paint. So I'm more or less just I'm going very, very lightly. I'm not using hardly any paint at all. And then just taking the excess off with my finger. So this should dry fairly quickly. See how yeah, I guess you could call more or less staining it, you know, but yeah, it's not a lot on it at all. Anyway, so I'm not going to bring this shadow out too much, because out here it would actually catch more light, I would think. So kind of like this portion right here on his wing would catch more light as it goes up, and then it would have that, you know, the feather separation and whatnot. But you know, on this side of his body would be more dark. There's like almost no paint on this brush. But I'm not going all the way to the edge with it. See, much like this portion right here on him, you could probably see it. If not, I'm sorry. But there's a very light line that goes right here, so that would be like, you know, backlit light. It goes all the way up there, and then even on him, you know, the very edge is light. So but these wings do have multiple colors on them, so I'm trying not to kill it all. Being very cautious of that. So as you can see, look. Focus. There's almost no paint on that brush, so, and I just reloaded. So, kind of give you an idea. The way I see it now, the body would be giving off more shadow, so this side would have more light. So if the light is here, it's just kind of flaring out. Like light will just go everywhere except for, you know, whatever really creates the shadow to begin with. So I'm just kind of, I don't know, I guess I'm picking out his body area. Like this is his whole leg here, and then this one's kind of up and crunched in. So just kind of trying to distinguish what he would look like. And all this would be a shadow. But I had to wait until I knew this was completely and utterly dry, this whole thing, before doing this, or else I'd be scraping off all this underpaint. But I'm really going very sparingly with the paint. And then, see, right now you can't really tell, but this paint is very, very flat. So it's like a matte, a flat matte finish. So when I hit it with the varnish, it'll come more to life. So I'm really not scrubbing hard. It's just that since this is a recycled painting, there's a really good amount of paint on this. So this canvas is now like rubber. I don't know, kind of consistency, I guess. But it's a lot of paint on it. And I would have sanded it down before doing this, but I don't know. I think with the texture behind it and everything else, and I don't know, it just looks kind of cool. just want to blend that out a little bit. Much like that. Give this guy a little more up in there. I'm using a relatively small brush for this, so I don't have to worry about small areas because I can get in them. Oh, you can't even see that part. Nope, not that one. Right there. There we go. And then that softens it up in that area. So yeah, I'm just picking little areas that I think would be in shadow. And bringing out the feathers at the same time. Because this is further away from the light source, so it would have more shadow in it. Maybe not so dark, but definitely shadow in it. And here's where the feathers get separated. I want it separated in there, though. I want that one shadow. These little hairs, man, they always bother me. Yeah, so I'm already taking the paint that was here and just kind of blending it out. So just so you know, it doesn't take much paint, especially when using a darker color, to shadow. And you just smear it, blend it out until it just fades into nothing. Then you have a nice transition of color, which gives it the look of shading. So I'm not too keen on technicality of words, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about contrast and stuff because I don't know nothing about it. It's pretty much, like I said, I'm fairly new at painting, so I'm pretty much a beginner at it. So, I mean, I'm painting, 3 years now, so I guess if I was to give advice, it was just to, when painting, just make sure you concentrate on lights and shadows. And then, I mean, not so much, like high detail, because in the world of painting, people don't have to, paint each leaf or each, say, feather, or in this case, but as long as your colors are correct, the eye will tell people what that is. So I mean, it doesn't have to be like full detail. It doesn't have to be like portrait painting, and stuff like that. I mean, even in landscapes, as long as you have your colors right, you don't have to be highly detailed in your work, as long as the colors are there, and the mind will trick the eyes and tell it what it is. So, because we as people, we familiarize things with more so with color than with detail, because as far as I know, we're the only species on the planet that can see in color and play with color and everything else. So that's just how I see it. Okay. And like I said, with the blender brush, it takes paint off as well as blends it out. So I mean, basically, when you're blending anyway, you're just reducing the amount of what you're using anyway. So this just takes it all off, blends out, makes it nice and soft. So, okay, I'm not looking for a whole lot of detail here. I'm just not. This was just a play around piece anyway. But it'd be definitely for sale. So, hey, what's up, Ron? Oh, I forgot. I didn't even forgot. Yeah, like I said, I looked right. All right, let me wave to whoever waved in. Hi. Being stupid. So that out too. It's too definitive. So not too bad. I can also come in here and make more shadows and whatnot too. So and what this will do, it will darken all the shadow areas as well as some of the highlight areas, and then you can really bring your painting out just doing this. It's fairly easy. I mean, if you do it too much, it'll totally get rid of that, but all you want to do is darken it. That's all you really gotta do. No, almost no paint. A little higher with this. There we go. Not too bad. So I'm gonna take this light. Well, I'll go lightly with it anyway. It's not too much of a light color, but let's see. I can go into this bit of shadow in here. Here. Just pick out some shadows right up in here. He'll look dirty, but that's okay. Yeah, like I was gonna say, if anybody wants to buy this, just, hit me up. It wouldn't be too expensive anyway. I almost keep no paintings that I do. Anyway. There. Let's give it more sense of distance because he is behind this guy. So not too much detail in him anyway. My main focus is this right here. So when this is all completely done, you probably won't even eyeball this until after your eyes go away from this part. So like I said, this will be more lit than this side because of all the, his body being right here. So just a little bit. This is going to be highlighted right up in here. There's the front of him right here will be lit up. So it'll play well. Put a little in his face to determine light and shadow. There we go. Doesn't look like much now, but it will later. Because I still got to put more whites up in here too, so actually just might, because this light, so it'd only be a rim of light really. This should almost be all shadow. all the shadow here. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, more shadow than light. This guy, since the light is coming up, it would hit him here, right up in here, and then rim it right in here, just like it's rimmed on the outside of the feathers. So, you know, you balance out your light. There we go. Looks alright, and all I did was add dark to it. It really makes almost everything pop. Even though this is a dark background, but this is darker than the background. So yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. That's pretty much how you separate everything with shadow. You know, and all I'm going to do next is go along this line here of stuff for my highlights. So I'm just going to take all the light areas and just make them brighter. It's pretty much all you do. So, but what I want to do, put some shadow in these big feathers here. So the shadow side would be here. Yeah, there we go. I could actually fill it all in. And go like, yeah, probably just do this. Make it go out more because, I mean, yeah, that'd be the way to go with it. And on the inside, not too much. Because the light is hitting on the outside here, and then, so basically when you're dealing with light and shadow, so let's say this is the light source, this gets lit first, then a small shadow, and then a little highlight, and then more shadow, and then either backlit or more highlight, doesn't matter. Just make sure that your shadow side has more shadow than the highlight side. So in other words, you cover more area on the shadow side, even though you can have a backlit part on the outer rim, but should be mostly shadow. Just not dark. So when you're doing shadows, don't go dark, dark. Make sure it's almost transparent. So if you were making a shadow on white, you should be able to see all the details you did with white. You just brushed it over like a dry brush. You just brush it over with darker paint, but you're not losing any details that you put in. See what I'm saying? So, yeah, and that about covers it for today. So, I do have a YouTube channel. It should be in my profile if you want to go take a look. Or, you know, you can hit me up here on Instagram if you're interested in buying anything. I don't have a website, so that's how I roll. All right. So let's shrink it back down so you can. Yeah, let me take it off this stupid cheap cheesy thing here. And that's pretty much what we have. Well, too much light. There we go. Too much glare from the light. So yeah. It'll look halfway decent when it's done, I think. So, that's it for now.